Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass the Move. In today's episode, which is I think episode 7, we've got a really exciting game for you. Now I know I say exciting episode every single time, but really this is probably going to be one of the best episodes of the series so far. And the reason being is that we've got 2 cup finals to show you guys. Yes, 2 cup finals. I'll give you a quick update on just what's been going on so far. So let me just quickly go through the schedule. Since that last game against Tottenham, I think it was, we had a nice little run here. It wasn't too bad. Again, this Fenerbahce result here, this loss here didn't really matter. What mattered, what really showed what type of players I've got was the Leicester game and the Sunderland and Watford. Now, these games are games that we should have been winning, like I mentioned in the last episode, but instead we drew 2 and lost the last 1. And in fact, we only ended the season in 5th position because of our goal difference, which is just 1 more than Watford. So that was really disappointing. We ended in the European Cup spot. We had several chances to overtake Tottenham into the Champions League final. But the good news, not the final, sorry, good God, the Champions League spot. But yeah, the good news is that we've managed to get into the Euro Cup final as well as the FA Cup final. So if we win the Euro Cup final, we'll actually get into the Champions League anyways. So I might actually manage to get to do better than Louis van Gaal. But yeah, we're going to quickly run through this because we've got a double header of live comms to show you. West Ham and Norwich. We'll be showing you both the finals. So yeah, just quickly a nice little 4-0 result against Stoke. Since then, we haven't really managed to score 4 goals. Really, it's just been a bunch of 2 or 1 goal leads or wins. So yeah, nice little win here. A bunch of different scorers. The Fenerbahce game was pretty much over. Quarterfinal was pretty much over in the first game here where we played at home. They beat us 1-0 away, but I couldn't even get my players to try and win this game. They really just didn't really care about this game just because they were 3-0 up. Musa Sow managed to score 1 goal, but that wasn't really much. It was just a consolation goal. Josh Harrop actually got his first goal ever for the club because we had a couple of players missing for the team. So we've had Depay and Mkhitaryan both out. They're both our right wingers. I brought Josh Harrop in from the youth, and he managed to come in big for us there because we needed the win. And we got it in the 80th minute, so that was quite pleasing. We also managed to beat Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final game. If I'm not mistaken, in this game, we pretty much dominated them. And yeah, we did. They didn't really do much compared to previous games, so that was quite surprising. It was almost as if they didn't really want the win. But we managed to get a 1-0 win anyways in the end, and I thought that would be, we would continue our great winning run in the league. But unfortunately, Leicester held us 1-1 in the Premier League. Even Ibrahimovic getting a penalty, scoring a penalty there as well. But Leicester managed to equalise. We beat Hull 2-0 through Mkhitaryan, a brace. He's been great for us so far this season. He's double figures for both goals and assists, 13 goals, 12 assists, 4 player of the matches. And I've actually got an incredible stat to show you guys. I'll show you in just a second. We also beat Atletico Bilbao 2-1 in both legs, so we went through either way. The Swansea game was pretty much straightforward with Mkhitaryan and Ibrahimovic pretty much killing the game within half an hour. Sunderland was a really disappointing game because, as you can see, we were 2-0 up and they managed to come back, and that was really disappointing. I think my halftime team talk sort of affected this game because I told them at halftime that they played well, but they can play better, and that seemed to be off-put some of the players for some reason, even though they went into halftime 2-1 up. So I couldn't really tell them I was completely pleased with the performance, but it did somewhat backfire. And they managed to get back into the game. They scored 2 goals from 1 clear-cut chance, so that pretty much tells the story. We also had far more shots but less on target, so that's also another telling point. In the game against Watford, if we just beat them, we would have gone into the Tottenham, we would have overtaken Tottenham basically in the league. But yeah, really, we just outplayed. It was as if my players didn't care about this game either. They managed to get 2 goals, and we only scored through Chris Smalling in the 75th minute. We pretty much equal in terms of the chances here, but disappointing anyways. Yeah, so what I should show you guys is, actually you can tell right here from Herrera, he's 1 yellow card away from suspension. And now the incredible stat is that Herrera has managed 28 yellow cards in 42 league games. Now, I'm not entirely sure why he's gotten so many yellow cards, and his backup player in Carrick has also managed to get 10 yellow cards in 22 starts. I mean, that's a bit more acceptable, but my hunch is that obviously some of it has to do with the type of player Herrera is, but maybe some of it has also got to do with how Herrera might be quite often isolated in his defending. Now, Pogba is a roaming playmaker who often come back to defend as well, so you track him back to cover defensively, but I'm pretty sure that he doesn't do it quite often enough to help out Herrera, and Herrera must be forced into making tackles. But yeah, let's just get into today's game. So we've got Darmian and Luke Shaw as our fullbacks. Luke Shaw's managed to force his way back into the side. Smalling and Rojo as the centre-backs. Unfortunately, Jones, even though he's playing really well for a while there, he's managed to get injured. He's going to be missing, I expect, both finals. But yeah, Mkhitaryan and Depay will definitely be missing both finals, unfortunately. Mkhitaryan being injured for us, quite a heavy injury. But Josh Harrop has been doing decently. As I showed you guys, he's managed to get his first goal for the club. He's also gotten a goal and an assist. The rest of those stats are for the under-23, so they don't really count. But yeah, he's managed to do that mainly off the bench. But now he's going to get a little run in the side, considering he's first choice right winger now. I mean, obviously I can play Lingard or Martial there, but I prefer to keep players in certain positions. If I play Lingard there, then if Mata gets tired, that's going to cause a bit of a problem, because Lingard's going to be tired as well, and so on. So I'd just rather promote youth, give them a shot. You know, some of them take it head on like Josh Harrop has, some of them fail. So we'll see what he does in this game. A standard midfield here in Herrera and Pogba, and Mata as well. That's our standard midfield right there. Top performing players. Rashford and Martial are both been performing horribly lately, but because of Martial's last game, he's on 6.58 in the last 5 games. We're going to give Rashford a chance to perform. And actually, I should probably tell him, going to quickly give him a bit of faith here. You've been making mistakes lately, but I want to have faith in you. Hopefully this will spur him on to have a good game here. And yeah, he says, hopefully with your support, I'll start cutting out the mistakes. And yeah, let's just get into the game. Ibrahimovic has managed to score 24 goals for us in 42 appearances. So he's really, since moving to that complete forward support duty, he's performed much better. So we get into today's game against West Ham. It's an all-English final in the European Cup final, Europa League. So I think we should be, I mean, I'm certainly expecting us to win the game, but I wonder what the odds are. Can't remember quite where we'll be playing this competition in terms of the country or the stadium as well, but the expert says he thinks that we should just about beat them. The odds are on evens, even though we're favourites. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let's just get into the game. Today's game, they've got a pretty much full lineup here. I should have showed you guys the past meetings, but basically we beat them once, they beat us once. Actually, the result that we had against them was worse than us winning. We beat them 2-1, but they beat us 3-0. Now I'm just going to tell, I think I could possibly use this team talk here, but I think it's much better if I tell them that I'm expecting them to win. And I can save that sort of team talk for later in halftime if my team's not performing well. But really, I'm hoping to see a great win here. It's going to help us get into the Champions League. Hopefully my players can step up to the occasion this time. It's almost like every single episode where I'm telling you guys, hopefully they can step up, and they haven't. I think since about episode 3 or 4, one of those, my players have just been losing every single game I live com, and that's pretty disappointing, because you could see the other results that I show you when I'm not live comming the game, and we're performing much better. So maybe my players feel the pressure of playing in being shown to the world, basically. I guess they feel that pressure more than they feel the pressure of playing in a stadium. Anyways, Josh Harrop did well to win the ball back there, but unfortunately it's not really going to amount to much. The early exchanges here seem to be going a bit to West Ham's way. They're having more possession, and they've even managed to have a half chance. So they are playing 4-3-3, so they are suited more to possession. But I'm going to give my players a bit of encouragement here and see if they can respond. We haven't had a single shot on target, which is quite disappointing, because we have 4. I might have to tell my players to, and Herrera's going to get another yellow card, isn't he? Just another yellow card, so he's suspended for whatever game, and it looks like Payet is going to score that free kick, and he does, and that is one hell of a free kick, and I'm going to need my players to step up and perform here. I mean, we'll get a nice little replay here, and I think that was Mata who sort of just moved his head away from the ball while I was coming towards him. I mean, fair enough, it might have been a bit, coming at him with power. That's a bit disappointing still, though. I mean, we find ourselves 1-0 down within 15 minutes, and West Ham are the ones bringing the ball forward here. So, can we respond? De Gea does catch the ball there. Hopefully, this highlight goes our way. They're playing Simone Zaza up front, so I think he's a complete forward type of player. Ibrahimovic is our complete forward player, and Kouyaté comes in there quite heavily. I think he's going to get sent off. Hopefully, for us, he gets sent off, and he does. Now, I'm going to keep the West Ham formation open for you guys to see, because quite often when a player goes down, they'll change the formation fairly frequently. Now, hopefully, we can take advantage of this final being we're playing West Ham or a man down, and Mata's through here, and he, for God's sake, I don't know how he's missed that. That's the first clear-cut chance of the game, and I think for sure now I'm going to have to work the ball into the box, as well as maybe take advantage of them playing only one wide man and play looking for the overlap. Just because when a team goes one player down and they're leading, they quite often go really defensively. As you can see here, most of their players are there, and Rojo's just belted in quite the volley. I mean, maybe he should be playing as a striker instead, but we've managed to level it up here, so that's great. Let me quickly get rid of these so you can see them. And that is one hell of a goal from Rojo there. Fantastic. We've equalised now, and I think that deserves a bit more encouragement from touchline team talk. Basically, let's see if players can go one better. Most of them haven't really been performing that well, in truth. And my assistant seems to be telling me that we should work the ball into the box, and that's what I'll be doing. I'm going to work the ball into the box. I'll save look for overlap later if we really need to do it. And I think I agree with my assistant that I should tell him performance is disappointing, but I think I will use the team talk that I told you guys I'd say for later, and it seems to have worked. I'm going to tell them I have faith in them as well. Hopefully my players can respond to all this sort of passion that I'm showing them. Maybe they can replicate it. Ibrahimovic is having a terrible game, so that's quite disappointing. Might have to bring on Rooney to perform, but let's see. Let's give Ibrahimovic a bit of faith here. Still a bit early in terms of game time. But Mata picking up a booking there as well, which isn't too pleasing. We're coming up to the 60th minute here, so I'm just thinking whether to play wide, stretch West Ham, as well as look for the overlap. Now, I'm going to make a couple of subs. This might go into overtime, so it might not be a good idea to change too many things. But Ibrahimovic has been just too disappointing. We need the win, so I'm going to bring Rooney on. And I feel like Herrera might get sent off too, so I'm going to bring Schweinsteiger on and see what happens. I'll save Martial and Lingard, depending on who performs. Hopefully Rashford can step up. But if not, I'm going to just have to bring on Martial. I mean, what else can I do when my players aren't performing? Now, we're having a couple more shots on target since that work ball into the box, but still that's not well enough. Let me give some more encouragement to my players, see if they can perform better. See, West Ham have switched their formation again here. They've gone back to a 4-3-3, but without the left winger. And then they switched it once. Now they've gone really defensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to play wide, look for the overlap, and run at defense and see what happens here. I might play deeper as well. My players are seriously getting tired now. Josh Harp is exhausted. I'm tempted to switch Rashford to the right wing, even though he's not a right winger, and just bring Anthony Martial on and see what happens. Maybe he can finally get out of that bad form of his. I mean, I'm hoping to see someone step up in this game, but it's really just not happening as of late, and I can't afford this game to go into extra time. So I'm going to play deeper, hopefully draw out West Ham out of the defensive formation there. We'll go attacking, see if that helps. In fact, I'll even change some of the roles to attacking duty. Now, I know some of you probably thinking this is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but we just really need to win. It's a final. We can't afford to miss out on the Champions League. And hopefully, well, actually, it's West Ham who will bring the ball forward here. And it looked like they were gonna have a bit of a break, but we're gonna hold on to the ball. And I'm just hoping with everything I can hope, all the hope that I've got in the world, that we actually get the second goal here and this highlight goes our way. And hopefully, Will Shaw's gonna pass it into Mata. Mata, can he do something? He cannot. Instead, he loses out to Cagliari, and they're gonna have a chance to counter here. But he's all by himself. As you can see, West Ham players aren't really trying to counter. I'm going to go into overload for the last couple of minutes, and hopefully that can, go into our favour. I might put some pressure on the players as well and press higher up, because it just looked like they didn't really want to. Yeah, that's going to go into overtime. That's going to give me a bit of a chance to actually have a look at their striker. Now, he's a bit injured, so that works in our favour. And he's more of a pacey player than he is a target man, is he? No, he's a bit of both. So really, there's no favourable defensive line that we can play. Now, I'm going to tell my players, actually going to just tell them off. I'm going to tell them I'm not happy at all. Hopefully they can respond here. We've got another cup final in two days' time, and we've already played 2 days back for this final against Watford. That was only 2 days ago. So we're playing 3 games in the span of 1 week. Now that's pretty disappointing. I'm actually going to take off the look for overlap, as well as change the defensive line. I'm not entirely sure what to do here. Running at defense and working the ball into the box is probably our best bet, as well as stretching the play here. Let's just stay on control for a little bit here, see what my players can do. But yeah, this can't go to penalties. It would be really disappointing if it goes to penalties. I mean, they're still managing to get shots, and honestly, I actually just have no clue what to do anymore. The whole game has been pretty much just running through. And actually, you know what? I'm going to play on the counter. Hopefully draw them out a bit. See if that helps us. It looks like it won't help us at all. Just a couple of minutes left here, and it looks like we're going to see a penalty shootout. And yeah, that's definitely it. That's just going to go to a penalty shootout. Now, I know I could probably pick them out myself, but I'm going to go with auto pick. And let's see. We're going to get a chance to see all of this in 3D. And De Gea saved the first penalty, so thankfully the advantage goes our way. But it's still early days. Mata's going to have a chance here to score, and he misses as well. Even though Adrian's injured, he still managed to save that, and we've got no advantage anymore. And I know my players are very disappointing in penalties. We've previously lost a penalty against Tottenham, where it just went on for ages and ages and ages. I'm hoping it doesn't do this episode, because we've still got an FA Cup final to show you guys. Thankfully, Rooney scores his penalty there. And maybe De Gea can do something about this against Ayew. But he's a good player, and he does tuck that way into the top corner. De Gea's got no chance there. And West Ham are leading 2-1 through penalties. Can Martial boost his confidence here? And he can. He's managed to score that first. So that's great. But really, this is all pretty much nerve-wracking. Payet's going to definitely score his. He's already scored the free kick, which he's pretty much saved West Ham. I mean, Roja, I guess, saved us as well through a wonder goal. And Schweinsteiger misses his, so that's great. Now, if they score theirs and we miss ours, that's it. It's game over. So hopefully this injured player here can miss, and he does. Now, all we have to do is score ours, and we'll win. I think, no, we won't win. He has to score, basically, and he hasn't. And that's it. West Ham have won the European Cup, the Europa, Championship, basically. And that's just incredibly disappointing to lose after everything that we've been through. And I really don't know what to tell the players. I'm just going to tell them it was unlucky, I guess. I mean, you know what? I'm actually going to tell them the truth, that they weren't good enough today. I know it's probably a bit damaging morale-wise, but we were playing against 10-man West Ham for 100 minutes, basically 100 minutes worth of time, and we still couldn't win. My team just fail at every single moment that matters, basically. And I'm just going to give everyone a rest here, everyone possible. It just doesn't make any sense. Just because it's only 2 days away from a cup final, the FA Cup, and it looks like we're only going to qualify for the Europa League next year as well. Honestly, I have no clue whether I'm actually going to carry on this series anymore or not, because it's been a really disappointing season. Doesn't really make sense to continue anymore. The board have actually given me a contract extension. They were waiting till the last minute, and they finally decided to give me an extension on the basis that we were playing well. But just how we've performed so far has been quite disappointing, and we haven't really put in any sort of performance that convinces me that I should continue this save. We've ended in 5th spot. That's pretty much the same as last season in real life, and I mean, I guess I could play next season to see where we could go on, whether we can step up next season or not. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'm more tempted to start a new save with a different team. Thankfully, all my players there have responded through the resting. But actually, we're going to play Carrick instead of Schweinsteiger in the deep lying role, because that's more of his sort of thing. In terms of form, everyone's doing okay here. And we'll give Martial a chance instead of Rashford. I don't think Rashford played well in the last game. He's even managed to miss his penalty. He only got a 6.6 rating. We really need someone to perform well. I'm looking to any of my players to performing well. To someone, just anyone, to step up and put on a good man of the match performance in a high pressure situation. And no one really managed to do it. We only beat teams that never really stood a chance in the first place. I mean, we win the easy games. There seems to be a serious mental, fragility about my players. It's almost as if the game is really realistic. I'm going to tell my players the same thing I told them last time. You deserve to win the trophy. And hopefully they're not too bummed out about the Europa League Final. Hopefully they can respond here. And I'm just really disappointed, as you can tell. I mean, every time I'm hoping my players would step up and respond, no one really does it. I just can't understand why. I mean, the tactics aren't exactly got any, serious mistakes or faults in them. And God knows what Josh Harrop was doing there. And it looks like this game, it's against Norwich. I mean, they've beaten quite a number of big teams to get to the final here. But Ibrahimovic is going to have a chance here, and he tucks that away, so that's great. So 1-0 lead within 5 minutes. And hopefully my players can keep this up. I mean, I just have no faith in my players anymore after that final. I thought they would all want to win it against West Ham. They were playing against 10 men. They had the chance to qualify for the European Championship as well as win the trophy. Not the European Championship, actually, sorry, the Champions League. And they fell short horribly. I mean, I actually just can't believe how poor we were in that game. West Ham still managed to get some number of shots, even though they were 10 men down. And we tried every tactic under the sun, and it still didn't work. But anyways, it's the FA Cup final here. We're leading 1-0 to Norwich, who I think are a Championship side. They should be. And we should be heavy favourites to win this, really. They are a Championship side, and they managed to actually get promoted to the Premier League. They ended the season second in the Championship, I think. Not sure if the season's over for them. But yeah, it's like 30 minutes now. We're still holding on to our 1-0 lead. And I'm hoping my players can go on and double that lead so we can make it a bit more comfortable. Norwich very much still in the game. And for some reason, for both of the games, there's really not been too many highlights. You guys have been pretty much just staring at a still screen for most of it. So I do apologize for that. But normally, as you see from my previous episodes, there's way more highlights to show. And yeah, it's 1-0 at halftime. Morale's really low. No one really seems complacent. So I'm just going to tell them I'm pleased with how things are going and to keep it up. They're all delighted, and hopefully that spurs them on to score the second. I think I've learnt my lesson a little bit from telling them that they played decently, but they could do better. Doesn't seem to work with these group of players, even though I've had it be successful with other players. But yeah, like I mentioned, I think there's just a bit of fragility with these players, and Pogba's going to bring the ball forward here, but he loses out to one of the Norwich players, and Marshall wins it back well, and it looks like he's playing quite well this game. Ibrahimovic does well to find Mata there, who again misses a clear-cut chance for the second game in a row, and really, he could have won us the Europa League back in the last game. I'm still really downhearted about that. We are actually going to bring off Mata just because he's got a yellow card, as well as his poor performance with a 6.2 rating in a cup final. And that's really disappointing because Mata's been one of our best players, all season round. We don't want to risk getting a man sent off ourselves, so we're going to bring on Mario Fernandes as well for Darmian, who's also gotten himself quite a number of yellow cards, if I'm not mistaken. Quite often he's picking up bookings too. But yeah, 60 minutes now, it's still 1-0 up. Norwich really haven't done much so far. It looks like we haven't really done much so far either, just because of the lack of highlights. We do have a decent number of shots and shots on target there. But we had the chance to be 2-0 up and we didn't take it. And we're going to have another chance here through a set piece. Lingard crossed in a decent cross, but Norwich deal with it. But he's going to bring the ball forward again, and Marshall's got it now. Can he find the man in the box? Yes, he can, but Ibrahimovic misses. He's cleared it over the crossbar. I think that's the second clear-cut chance for us. So as you can tell, my player's just proving everything that I say, pretty much. Carrick's exhausted here, even though he's had a good game. So I am going to give Schweinsteiger a chance to redeem himself for missing that penalty. Perhaps I shouldn't have done it on auto-pick. You guys can let me know in the comment section whether it's better to do auto-pick for penalties or whether it's not. And it's 10 minutes left here. I'm tempted to go defensive, but we've pretty much dominated the game from start to finish, so it doesn't really make sense. Pogba's going to get a chance through a free kick here, and he's hit it straight at the keeper. Ibrahimovic has a chance, well, he had a chance to cross into the box, and Norwich are going to break here. Rojo wins it back first, and Pogba heads it down to Shaw. Can Schweinsteiger do something special here? He plays it back to Shaw. Shaw just needs to put in a good cross, and he does. But it's cleared away. And Pogba's going to get a second chance here. Rojo, our saviour in the last game, but unfortunately his volley couldn't spur the team on to win the game. And Norwich are going to have a chance to attack us here. They're bringing the ball forward through Pritchard. He puts in a really good cross into the box that thankfully that's dealt with by Smalling. That really could have been a back post goal. And Ibrahimovic is going to play Martial through, who scores a banger. And it's 5 minutes left. We're 2-0 up. We are, by the looks of it, hopefully I'm not going to jinx it, but we are going to win the FA Cup. So yeah, I guess I am just as good a manager as Louis van Gaal. And that is quite disappointing to say the least. Martial was just celebrating that goal with all his life, and Smalling had a decent chance to tuck it in there. That was, I think, the third clear-cut chance of the game, but Martial's goal might have been the third clear-cut chance, even though it didn't really seem like it. The game has a weird way of sometimes making things out to be a clear-cut chance when they're not, and Norwich are going to bring the ball forward here. They might... well, that was a pointless highlight. I thought that they would put us under some pressure by scoring an equal... well, not an equaliser, but their first goal, which would have put us under serious pressure, but instead... we've managed to win the FA Cup, and as you can tell, I'm not entirely happy. Just because the FA Cup is a nice bonus to win. But really, the game, or the game that mattered was the one against West Ham. If we won that, we would have been in the Champions League, and that's what mattered most, because now it's going to put some serious pressure on me in terms of my scouting and bringing players in. Some players might not want to join us just because of our lack of Champions League action. in terms of what's going to be going on, if I do carry on this series, a number of players are leaving. So we've got Schweinsteiger, who decided to leave. He asked for more game time, and unfortunately I ran out of options of telling him that there's more games left in the season, or to say that Pogba was in the form of his life, because he really wasn't. He's just a 6.94 rating, so I couldn't say that either. So yeah, I mean, he's not much of a loss in all honesty. He's just a good player for most Premier Division sides. And I think we'll be moving on Carrick as well. Depends really. He seems to be okay with his game time. But yeah, the ones that for sure leaving are Rooney and Schweinsteiger. Now Rooney is requested to leave on the basis that he's looking for a new challenge, and I did not want to step in his way whatsoever. Wanted to move him on as soon as possible, and it seems like no matter what you do, Rooney always asks to leave, even in previous Football Managers editions. So I'm just going to move him on, get it over with. There's no need to keep a type of player who asks to leave. Yeah, so we'll definitely be replacing Schweinsteiger and Rooney. In terms of strikers, we're going to be moving Martial up front to play back up to Ibrahimovic, unless Martial's a better player now. He's actually not. He's still 3-star rated. And we were going to probably bring in a left winger if we don't have anyone to bring in through the the youth. I prefer bringing players in through the youth. So we're going to have a quick look through our youth team, and it looks like there's no one who can really step up in that left wing position. So it looks like we are going to bring in a player next year and buy someone. Pereira, I guess, can play there as an inside forward, but is he ready for the Premier League? He's not quite ready for the Premier League. He's still Championship material. It's Januzaj who's possibly going to play for us there. He is ready for the Premier League, so I could play Januzaj there, but the problem is that he would play as a winger. He's not too much of a winger. I mean, he's more suited to playing as an inside forward. Oh, I guess not. He hasn't really got any off-the-ball decisions. That's quite strange. His best position is definitely going to be the advanced playmaker on attack duty, though. His decisions should sort themselves out as well as off the ball. Hopefully we can work on that. But probably for next season, he'll play for us on the left wing. And in terms of who's going to replace Schweinsteiger was playing as a roaming playmaker, so I think I will switch Herrera to playing as backup to Pogba as a roaming playmaker. He's more than capable of that role. And that would mean that I can finally move Blind into... Where is he? Just suddenly lost him. There you go. That means we could finally move Blind into the deep line playmaker role on defend, which we know he's more than capable of. It far suits his, his stats, his attributes, and we'll probably bring in a left back as backup to Shaw. But we do have a young left back, I think, who's capable of possibly being So Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. He's more suited to the left-back role than he is the centre-back role. I mean, he's decent as a central defender, but we don't really need him there, so we'll play him as a full-back possibly. He's still suited to Championship, but hopefully when we get him back, he'll be capable of playing in the Premier Division. I think I'll just promote him. He's got crazy crossing, and if you do play him as wing-back support, as you can tell, he's really suited most of the stat attributes here. It's just off the ball and dribbling, and we can possibly change that, because he's still young at 20 years of age, and he does have the potential to be a Premier Division fullback. I think that will wrap it up for me. I'm not really going to show you guys what happens over the summer. I don't think that's too interesting. Also, I go through half of the summer not knowing what the hell I'm doing most times. It depends on which players become available, which players ask to leave, especially since we didn't qualify for the Champions League, so it really depends what my squad think. But we managed to retain the FA Cup trophy, so that's a bit pleasing, but really... These couple of games here, quite disappointing. I don't know where they've gone, actually. That's a bit strange. What's happened to the end of my season? That makes no sense. What's wrong with the schedule? Has it loaded better this time? Yeah, it's loaded better there. These three results here... are the ones that are really disappointing. We could have easily qualified for the Champions League as well as won the Europa Cup over here. Unfortunately, we did neither. And West Ham have managed to qualify for the Champions League, so that's going to be interesting. But we did win the FA Cup, and as you can tell here, we did go on nice little winning runs, but really, the losses is what cost us the Premier Division. As you can see, we're the only team in this sort of area who've lost 12 times. And if you just look at the list here, you can excuse the big teams, obviously, because that goes your way. Sometimes it doesn't go your way. Tottenham, City, Chelsea, and Arsenal, you can excuse that. That would have been 4 losses, I think. But games such as against Watford, West Ham, West Brom, Leicester, Stoke, Burnley, they're the ones that really cost us. The draws, not so much, because we just about got the same amount of draws as you can see from the other teams. And in fact, Arsenal just ran away with the Premier League title here. They were 22 points away from us. My team fell incredibly short. Hopefully, next season they'll respond. Let me know in the comment section whether you want me to continue this series or whether you want me to start with a new team. I've got a couple of ideas. I won't quite share that with you guys just yet. You can let me know in the comment section whether you want to know whether you want me to continue or not. Hopefully the board keep me on. I mean, they did let me sign a new contract. It says it's insecure here, but considering I just signed the contract, I don't expect them to fire me. So yeah, just let me know in the comment section. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please let me, well, obviously let me know, but also hit the like button and subscribe. And yeah, that'll be all for today, guys. Thank you for watching.